The college basketball experience, North Carolina Tar Heels 2022-23 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today.
Hey, this is John Sally, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride. Yes. Welcome to the college basketball experience, North Carolina Tar Heels 2022-23 season preview episode. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
The season's right around the corner, folks. Subscribe to the college basketball experience. Remember, we're also on YouTube. Subscribe. We are together with the college football experience on YouTube. So go to youtube.com/the college experience. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for, I had to bring on a Duke guy for a Carolina pod, but if you listen to the college basketball experience for years upon years, he's been a footprint within this college basketball podcast. So give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, Tobacco Road living, the free lock giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
And look, with third guy in the booth, I had to bring on a Carolina fan. You know what I mean? If we're going to have a Duke guy on here, people are going to unsubscribe. So give it up for, host of the NBA Gambling Podcast, host of the WNBA Gambling Podcast. He's also, you can hear him on the NFL Gambling Podcast. Anywhere he lays his hat is his home, but he started here on the college basketball experience. Give it up for Terrell Furman Jr. How you doing, man?
Sir, mate. Making sure we're here and we're right.
I love whenever Colby brings on Terrell, he says wherever he lays his hat is his home.
I like it.
It's true, but it's just a very, very random saying.
Well, it's like when I have on other people, they have one podcast. He's got so many that I'm just like, what do I promote? You know what I mean? So got to go with the hat angle. The hat.
No, I like it. I like it. We're getting there. We're going to add to it some more. We're going to add some more to it.
It's getting better and better. It's taking some time. Let these things happen naturally. Just like with Hubert Davis last year, you saw year one. I mean, if you were to go, I would probably guess if I went up game by game on here, if you were to talk UNC basketball in late to mid January last year, I feel like UNC fans, maybe also me, NC Nick, might have been jabbing Terrell Furman Jr. and saying, "Hey, how's year one going with old Hubert Davis?" But
tell the rest of the story.
But
I would say that might even go into early February, like when they.
Oh no, it was all the way in February. All the way in February, it was all of that. No, I remember.
I was basically trying to crowbar the one Duke, the one good Duke game where they beat UNC by 20 in Chapel Hill, and we don't have to talk about the other two games. Okay.
Yeah.
But whatever happened,
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Hubert Davis found his stride, and all of a sudden, I'll be honest. I think I took Marquette plus like a decent number in the opener of the NCAA tournament, and they absolutely
smoked them,
absolutely destroyed them. And then it just continued on, snowball effect.
Shout out to my guy Shaka Smart though.
Yes, he did a great job in year one. A lot of people weren't calling for Marquette to make the tournament, but he got him there. But man, the Tar Heels, they found their rhythm. Look, 29-10 in year one. To give you an idea, folks, that's better than the previous I believe the previous 3 seasons. Well, I don't know. I guess back in 2018-19, he was 29-7. Roy Williams was, but after that, 14-19. That was the crazy COVID year. They wouldn't have made the tournament. Then 18-11, and then last year 29-10. In a deep run to the NCAA championship. And they looked like they were going to win that thing for a lot of that game. And then the Jayhawks battled back. I think they kind of stole that national championship. But overall, year one, Hubert Davis, I guess I don't even want to ask your guys' opinion because there's no denying it was a great first year. Right?
I think that he definitely caught his stride. I think that, during the course of the season, there was definitely a lot of moments where you would have liked to see that team play a lot better, even in the regular season, especially when you talk about embarrassing losses here and there and just never being able to really step footing. But the NCAA tournament is the best place to finally put it all together. And that's ultimately what happened. They realized what they need to do, and they finally put it all together just to get that good run going. And yeah, there's a very good possibility that they could have been national champions, and this would be a whole different conversation right here. So it was super cool, super dope. I think it was a solid first year. I won't say good, but I hope that this run at the end of the year didn't neglect all the missed troubles, the backfires, and everything in the regular season, because all of that still needs to be addressed.
Well, he was a rookie head coach, and I think it's only fair that we say, rookie head coaches can get better as the season progresses, just like a freshman can get better as the season progresses, So yeah, and it took a buy-in from the team, which obviously happened later in the year. But yeah, the goal is to be playing your best basketball come March, and that's exactly what happened. So I think you have to be thrilled with Hubert Davis right now, and the fact that he brings back pretty much everybody. Because in years past, maybe it's NIL, who knows what, but in years past, Baycott's not returning. Love and Davis aren't returning. So the fact that he's able to bring back everybody and also keep most of the bench who hardly played last year, I think that's a positive thing too.
Definitely.
I think the biggest transfer out was Dawson Garcia going to Minnesota.
And he got in the doghouse, or it seemed like early in the year, or I don't know what happened, but we were expecting that to be an impact transfer in.
There was a family issue. He ended up going back like midway, like leaving the team because of a family issue back where he was from in Minnesota or Wisconsin. Terrell might know more than me, but it was something along those lines.
Well, I'm sorry. Then it might not have been the doghouse. Then it might have just been some real serious shit. But regardless,
Kerwin Walton also transferred out, and he had a bad year, but he actually showed promise, especially as a shooter as a freshman year 2 years ago. But still, I don't think UNC is going to miss him. I think it's a pretty good get for Texas Tech if he can revert back to his freshman self. But still, I think with how loaded UNC is, it's not like they're going to miss Kerwin Walton.
And they brought in one. We'll get to it, but I want to rattle off. Not only last year were they a fantastic basketball team, they were a great team to gamble on because they were 22-16 ATS. Yes, so I think in that most of their losses probably were early in the year, as I would imagine. Adjusted offense, they ended up being 18th in the nation. Adjusted defense, 35th in the nation. Now, if you had looked in like I said, in January, that defensively, we thought this team was a mess. They fixed it though. They were also 60th in the nation from three, 59th in the nation in offensive rebounding. And I think this was the real like X factor for Carolina as they went up, even in the Duke matchup leading up to those, when they played St. Peter's, 59th in offensive rebounding and second in the nation in defensive rebounding. So they limited your opportunities. And that really, I think was the heartbeat of this team. 30% in the nation from free throw. They were 39th in pace, and they were 53rd in the nation at taking care of the basketball. But I mean, we didn't mention the loss of Brady Manek because I will say this. He was fucking fire towards the end of the year. He was absolute fire, and was able to stretch that. I feel like it was a nightmare matchup because he was like Smooth Sam Perkins back there, just drilling threes.
It was a perfect compliment to Baycott, because if you had two big guys clogging the lane, then you limit some of the effectiveness of the perimeter. But the fact that Manek basically lived on the wing as a 3-point shooter, I think that just opened up the floor for everybody. And if you look at their run to the Final Four, you know why UNC was so dangerous last year? Round 1, Manek goes for 28 and 11. Round 2, Davis drops 30. Round 3, Love drops 30. Round 4, to get to the Final Four, Baycott goes for 20 and 22. I mean, you got so many different people. Good luck trying to stop that. You can't focus on one guy. There's 4 guys that could, and then the unsung hero is Leaky Black. And I wish Leaky Black played.
Leaky Black doesn't show up on a box score. Leaky Black, you have to watch. If you don't watch Carolina basketball, you will never know Leaky Black's on the court. Right. You have to watch the game, and you'll know Leaky Black was there, and Leaky Black had an impact in every single game he played in.
Just
Definitely
straight up shut down defender, and he doesn't need the ball on offense. And you have 2 like ball dominant guards that like to shoot a lot. He's the perfect fit there as well. So he's the perfect glue man for that.
When Leaky said he was coming back, that's when I said, all right, now this can be an actual run. Without Leaky, I don't think that this team sticks together. He's 100% the glue that keeps that team together and a catalyst, I'll say, for the run, because again, these guys thought they were done after that last year. They thought they were done. They thought that run was going to be the last, and they said, all right, we're just going to go our separate ways. No, everybody, like you said earlier, everybody came back. So it's a reason why, their odds are as high as they are or as low as they are, is because this team looks shades like that last NCAA tournament team that came back after they got upset by Villanova and won championship. It does look like that.
Yeah, but I've said enough nice things. Let me say this: just because you're highly ranked and most people are picking you to go to the Final Four. It doesn't always work out that way. Ask UCLA and Gonzaga from last year. Okay?
No, it's every year. I think Baylor was the only year. Every year, that's the only reason why I am very high on UNC regular season. I think we'll have another fantastic regular season. But when you get to that tournament, Vegas tells you, hey, we don't, just because we put their odds at the lowest, don't mean we think they're going to win. Those are actually the teams that just pick up all the liability and end up folding somewhere in the tournament. So I'm very concerned from the fact that they're here. If they were like 20-1, 18, like somewhere in the middle, okay, I would have liked that. But being the favorites, nah.
It's almost a perfect comparison to UCLA the year before, because you remember UCLA was struggling.
Yeah,
Mick Cronin, and then all of a sudden they get in the one of the play-in games, and they're actually losing at halftime to Michigan State.
It was Michigan State. Yeah,
Izzo's beating them at halftime, I think by like 12, and they get hot in the second half. Now, Carolina showed signs of life before the NCAA tournament. They showed it late to me in the regular season. But
when they beat the shit out of Duke, you could say it. When they beat the shit out of Duke. You didn't have to. We all knew what game we were talking about. Let's just put it out there.
Because you had that awkward thing. They were all celebrating. They all thought this was going to be a win. And then Coach K's got to talk to the crowd. It was look, I'm not a Duke fan. I'm not a Carolina fan. That was fucking hilarious. But, okay. Well, look, Brady Manek's gone. Dawson Garcia's gone. Kerwin Walton transferred out to Texas Tech. Garcia went to Minnesota. And then Anthony Harris went to Rhode Island with Archie Miller. I want to talk about what's coming into Chapel Hill, because they had a good recruiting class. I don't know how many minutes will be seen from these guys, but they also landed a key guy in the transfer portal. But before we get to all that, I want to tell you folks out there that the North Carolina Tar Heels 2022-23 season preview episode is brought to you by WinBet. Bet $100 at WinBet and get $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by Babbel. Yeah. If you're like me, and there's a foreign language that you regret not learning in high school, certainly me, it's never too late to start with Babbel. Babbel's the language learning app that's sold more than 10 million subscriptions. That's a lot of fucking subscriptions. All right. Thanks to Babbel, I mean, learning a new language is really easy. And what's great, I can't emphasize this enough, because if you're like me, you can just tune out after a long period of time, but 10-minute episodes, 10-minute lesson plans. I mean, how great is that? You can learn 14 different languages: Spanish, French, Italian, German, etc. Look, right now, Get up to 55% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/SGP. That's BABBEL.com/SGP for up to 55% off your subscription. Babbel, it's language for life. All right. Well, we talked about what left the Tar Heels program. In comes 6'3" guard Seth Trimble from Wisconsin, 37th ranked recruit in the nation. 6'9" center Jalen Washington, the 47th recruit in the nation from Gary, Indiana, not going to the Hoosiers and Mike Woodson. Ouch. 6'8" Tyler Nickel, who was the 79th ranked recruit out of Virginia, giving Tony Bennett no love. So you got 3 top 100 recruits coming in. Are they even going to see the floor much? I mean, maybe in some of these blowout out of conference games, but when it comes to conference play, you think these guys will be, contributing a lot to this team?
No, I don't. I think that you may have some opportunity there for somebody to play their way into a spot, but ultimately, and we've seen it last year, this team's not going to go very deep into their bench, and then you got to think of the guys that are still ahead of them on that roster. I think that those guys probably are just going to be really, really good, just absorbing and learning everything. And maybe during the course of the regular season, but when it comes down to crunch time, when you get into some of these, high-powered ACC games or the ACC tournament or anything like that, I think it's going to be the same core 7 of guys.
Yeah.
Well, last year was the core 5. Because really it was just all about their starting 5.
Yeah.
Now with one more year under the belt, they might get more contribution from like Dontrez Styles, or I think Puff Johnson had a good game or two towards the end.
Yeah, in the tournament.
Yeah, okay. And Justin McCoy, another guy. I think if they're going to have the type of regular season that you want, they're going to have to get some bench contribution. It can't just be 5 dudes. So whether that is some of those guys I just mentioned or some of the true freshmen, they need a couple of those guys to emerge.
Well, what's funny is we talked about what they lost in the portal. Garcia, Walton, and Harris gone. But I think they won the portal when they landed Pete Nance. Yes, son of former Cleveland Cavalier Larry Nance and brother of Larry Nance Jr. I mean, I know Northwestern wasn't a great program, but anytime you watch Northwestern, I was always like, this fucking guy's good. Why is he at Northwestern? 15.7 boards, shoots 45% from 3. That was a gigantic get. And it kind of reminds me of Brady Manek because he's 6'10" and he can bury threes. So they're following that blueprint that got him to the national championship a year ago. I mean, right when I saw this, look, before they landed anybody in the portal, I thought, oh man, they're going to be number 1 or 2, maybe 3 in the nation. And then I saw them land Nance and I go, oh man, this is a dream scenario here. I mean, what'd you guys think of the Nance kit?
I think it's amazing. I think it was amazing. And it was one of the best moves to play, especially when you thought Garcia was going to take over that next role. Like they thought Dawson Garcia was going to be that next guy to kind of take that 4th spot. And he ends up leaving and you bring in Nance, who honestly you can say is better. He's better because not only is he a stretch 4, but he has a completely different playing style from Brady Manek, where if Armando gets early fouls, if you want to play around with this rotation and have, one of them on the court at all the same times, Nance can post up. He has a post up game and he'll be able to, battle down with the bigs of the ACC. So he can do it all. He can stretch the floor. He can come play inside. I think it was a great get.
Yeah, Nick, did you cringe when you saw Pete Nance go into Chapel Hill?
I'd be lying if I was like, "Come on, man, leaving Northwestern with the Dookie as head coach and Chris Collins going to UNC." It's like, come on, man. But no, it's on paper. It certainly seems like he's going to fill that 4 spot perfectly. And that last stat you mentioned, the 45% from 3, that's going to allow them to do the same things offensively as last year. So it does seem like a very nice fit.
Well, look, we're going to hop into the schedule, but before we hop into the schedule, I want to tell you that the college basketball experience is brought to you by No House Advantage. No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. You can play in pick'em contests versus other people for a shot at winning $250K in cash. Yes, download the app, choose a contest, select your player props, earn points for corrected picks, and climb up that leaderboard for your shot to win big money every single day. And look, it's not just NFL. I know NFL's dominating everything right now, but it's for NBA. It's for MLB. It's for PGA, MMA, NASCAR. All right. So check it out. Make sure you check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined. Sign up now with the promo code SGPN at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app to get the first deposit match of up to $25. We're also brought to you by promoguide.us. Yes, promoguide.us is the best place to go if you're interested in plus EV betting strategies. And I got to say, we've been looking at their daily promo updates and they have some of the most informative in the game. They don't simply tell you, what team is more probable to win, but they're more like tell you like, okay, where you can get the best odds, how to track down and cash in big on all the constant changing promotions out there. So, you got to check out promoguide.us and check out their 100% track, transparent, and proven method for betting smarter. So make sure you check out promoguide.us. We're also brought to you by Odds Trader. Odds Trader is a place to compare odds from all the major sports books. You can also compare the different sign-up codes and promo codes from sportsbook to sportsbook to assure that you get yourself the best deal possible. It also has a bet tracker so bettors can keep records of all your games and betting activity, which is huge for me because you get me in November, December, January when we got NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL. This year we even have the World Cup. God forbid there's a boxing match or a UFC thing that you want to touch on. I can get unorganized. So what's great is they organize it for you. Go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. OddsTrader, the #1 site for all your game day bets. All right, we are back talking Tar Heel basketball, and I got a schedule in front of me, folks. And I want to look. Unfortunately, we do not have ACC odds, but I do now have the ACC schedule. Remember, like a month ago when I was previewing some of these other teams, I didn't have the ACC schedule, and I do have the national championship odds, where currently actually they are. Gonzaga is actually the favorite from what I'm seeing at most sports books.
Okay.
UNC being second, Kentucky being third, Houston being fourth.
Kind of surprised Gonzaga is. Maybe because they've never won the championship.
Yeah, and it's like this has got to be their year. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball.
Every year is their year.
Every year is their year.
Yeah,
but it hasn't been yet.
Yeah. Getting Timmy back. That's what's so great about this college basketball season in general is the NIL. I think the NIL is a direct result of seeing potentially Baycott back because we know he would have. We think he would have been drafted in the probably the early second round maybe. But why risk that? Because the NBA draft is weird. It's not like the NFL draft because like some scouts will be like in New Zealand or wherever, and you'll be drafting guys. And I've probably countless years thought there was going to be guys that were going to be drafted that end up not drafted. So it's only a 2-round draft. So I do think college basketball is getting stronger this season. So yeah, right now you can get UNC at plus 1,000 to win the national championship. Hey, win bet, get over there.
Has Terrell Furman made a bet yet?
No, I have not made a bet yet.
He's waiting for that regular season win total.
You said what?
I was saying it's hard to, most of us haven't completely turned the page to college basketball yet. We're not even really thinking it yet, but this is why we're doing these previews is that it's not too far away. So we got to start getting in the mindset.
And I think he's waiting for the ACC win total to drop or, to come out or the regular season win total to drop.
Yeah, for sure.
We haven't seen that yet, but okay. So I'm looking at the schedule. They opened the season against UNC Wilmington. UNC Wilmington, not bad. Should have made the NCAA tournament last year, but got upset in their conference championship game, if memory serves me correct. So out the gate, they got a couple small schools, UNC Wilmington, then College of Charleston, then Gardner-Webb, the Running Bulldogs, and then JMU, all in Chapel Hill. We don't expect any of these games to be a game, right? This is 4-0 is what should be happening here, right?
Yeah.
Charleston gave a game last year, but
all right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, but then they head off to the Phil Knight Invitational. And they are taking on the Portland Pilots on November 24th. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. Duke's in this as well, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's like an actual, like a tournament, like bracket style.
Yeah, I think it's like groups. Like there's like groups in there.
Okay.
Funky. And honestly, I haven't looked too much into it, but I don't think it's necessarily like Duke and UNC could play in the final.
Yeah. No. Yesterday we did the Duke preview. Go listen to that. Subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. But I was on Phil Knight's website and I was confused just like I am today when I pulled this up. So they're at Portland in the city of Portland, because this is where this is taking place. And then they will get the winner of Iowa State and Villanova, which could be a nice matchup there with Kyle Neptune taking over for Jay Wright in Philadelphia there. And then they will get, the winner of the rest of the field. Any chance? Do you see them just breezing through? I mean, any chance Nova gives them a game? Or are they too undersized? What do you think?
Well, in Nova chance, I think they give them a game because I think that's the game that company over there says, all right, it's a new regime. This is a new team. We're running a new philosophy. We're keeping a lot of same old things, but hey, this is our chance to, kind of make a statement. So I think the Villanova game be interesting, but honestly, I still think that this is a sweep thus far, whether it's Villanova or Iowa State.
Yeah, I mean, Nova lost a lot, and Iowa State, they had a nice story last year too. But I mean, UNC should be hands down better than both those teams, especially that early in the year.
So that takes us almost out of the month of November, but they have the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and I think this one could be an interesting one. Indiana, Trace Jackson Davis is back, and this game is in Bloomington, Indiana. This one could be a game. I actually thought Mike Woodson did a pretty good job year one, exceeded my expectations of how he would be in year one as a coach. Could this be a little trap game here for the Tar Heels? I still expect Indiana to be a top 25 team, but what do you make of this one in Bloomington?
I think that if there is a game that's coming up anytime in their schedule, it has to be that Indiana one. I was trying to look it up and I still haven't gotten a chance to find it, but I wanted to see kind of the history of recently of that ACC Big Ten Challenge. Over the course of last season, I think who was it that was just beaten? I think it was the Big East, and they just had maybe the Big 12 or it was the Big 10, somebody's number. They just one whole conference had the other conference's number and won almost every game.
Was that Big 12 versus SEC?
No, because I think the SEC fared out well. I think last year the Big Ten actually had a great success against the ACC, and I think that's what you might be referring to.
Our guy in the chat, Dylan Hyder, fellow Duke fan. All right, we got strength in numbers here. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
What up to Patrick Fisher as well? The chat is alive and well. Hop in if you want to talk Carolina basketball. Or you have any questions regarding them? So they actually have.
Well, I think this is a losable game here.
No. I think this is going to be a game, especially in Indiana. This is their first true road game, and I love to fade these big schools, big teams, like with a whole bunch of pressure and everything. I love to fade them in their first road game. So this is going to be a good one.
Well, and I actually believe we did Duke's preview yesterday, so to compare it to Duke's, I think they're like November, December is harder than Duke's because they not only do they go at Indiana, the very next game they play, which is just a few days later, is at Blacksburg against Virginia Tech. Now Virginia Tech's they're not loaded this year, but Mike Young's doing a solid job there. I do think they're going to be a bubble team this year. So that becomes a tricky game there in Blacksburg because I feel like that's always a tough place to go to, whether it was Buzz Williams, whether it's Mike Young. I feel like it's a tough place to grab a win. If you're not ready,
for sure,
if you're overlooking that game, you could catch an L there. So, and what's interesting here is they get Georgia Tech after that. Now, Georgia Tech, this is in Chapel Hill, but still comparing that to Duke's schedule, they didn't have the back-to-back ACC opponents in early December.
Well, considering UNC's average age is probably like 22 and a half and Duke's is probably 18 and a half. I'm glad Duke has an easier schedule at the gates.
Yeah. So they get Georgia Tech on December 10th coming to Chapel Hill. Georgia Tech just fired their athletic director, which makes me think Josh Pastner better have a good season this year. Then they get the Citadel, who's not bad in the SoCon, on December 13th. And then I think there's some big ones here. They got the CBS Sports Classic December 17th in New York City against the Ohio State Buckeyes. This one is a dangerous game because I thought
this disgusting game. They're playing this in these big arenas.
Yes,
man.
Yes.
They need to take college basketball back to its roots in gyms.
Hey,
we don't want arenas. We want just gyms. That's it.
100% agree. I love a home environment. I would much rather watch. Yes, North Carolina at Indiana. That place is going to burn down if Indiana wins. Comparing that to this Ohio State game in New York, I'm sorry.
It's disgusting.
It is.
You know what?
Absolutely
It is.
disgusting.
I'm with you,
Yeah.
but playing at Madison Square Garden, there's something about MSG, man. And Duke plays there one time every year. And there's something about Madison Square Garden, and those games are usually always really entertaining, and the players want to play it because that's the biggest stage, man. That's so that's like the one pass as far as.
That's fine, but let's do that for maybe like a championship tournament. But keep the games at the schools. Keep the games at the schools and those gyms.
Speaking my language. Speaking my language. We didn't talk about this pre-episode, Nick, but yes, instead of playing at the what is that, the Rose Garden in Portland for the Phil Knight thing? Come on, if you put that thing,
take it to the campus.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
I'll still say basketball is a little bit different than football here, and the one place that's okay with me is Madison Square Garden.
Okay, fair enough. That's like the Rose Bowl. You get an occasional. It's like when Wisconsin played LSU at Lambeau. You're like, okay, it's hard to disagree with Lambeau. You know what I mean? But let me ask you this: could Ohio State? They get Ohio. Yeah, it was I felt I could hear the sarcasm. December 17th, they get Ohio State, followed by December 21st in Charlotte. Come on, play this in Chapel Hill.
That game makes no sense.
Well, that does, but it's okay because I'm gonna be in full force down in the bottom. I will be at this game 100% for sure.
Michigan, North Carolina, Juwan Howard, Hubert Davis. I don't believe they were ever teammates, but I'm sure they played against one another. But
this has to be some kind of like series where they're going to be playing in Detroit next year or something. Like, why would they randomly choose Charlotte?
Well, it's called the Jumpman Invitational for whatever that's worth.
Michael Jordan, Charlotte. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think Jordan does Michigan's uniforms now, right? The company.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do. Right. And then they end the 2022 season at Pitt. Jeff Capel, make or break year. Okay, let's cut down to it. By the time 2023 starts, how many losses do you think Carolina will have? Nick, you go first. You're the Duke fan. We know you're looking at this from a slant.
I'll say one. I try to be impartial. I'll say one loss.
Okay, Terrell, what are you thinking here?
I mean, shoot, Nick said one. I say one. You might get lucky and get two. That's probably like plus 250. But nah, I really want to say zero. But that Indiana game is gonna be a good one. So that's the one that I think is a hiccup. I think they handle Virginia Tech. I think they handle ACC play pretty honestly, but it's just I'm curious on how this Big Ten basketball and this North Carolina team is going to adjust. I would like to see them win against Indiana and kind of adjust from how Indiana beat them and use that versus Ohio State and a Michigan. But yeah, I think one is fine, but I'm leaning closer to zero.
It's basically the same roster as last year. They lost 3 before January hit last year.
Yeah, but Hubert Davis, I feel like the buy-in. You mentioned this, and I get what you're doing over there, Duke fan.
All right, he's trying.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't say anything. I didn't even acknowledge it.
Then they lost 3 more in January last year, but that's where we can
just trying to
show us how many we lost in the tournament and where we ended up at.
You guys lost as many as Duke lost in the tournament.
Yeah, got a lot further too. Got a lot further too.
One round further.
Well,
who gave Duke the L?
We don't have to talk about that.
Right, Coach K's retirement. With a rival loss.
You lost your last regular season and game period. Whew,
send him to that old folks home with the L.
No, honestly,
so
that rivalry is really dead. Like the Duke rivalry is really dead at this point. Like you lost his last regular season game and his last game ever. What point ever?
Last time he went,
how many games in a row does Duke have to win for that to just like go away?
Last time he walked into Chapel Hill, he walked out with a 20-point win.
Ooh.
All right, that's the 33%. In baseball, you were doing amazing.
All right. Well, look, hold on. I want to talk a little bit about the ACC conference schedule, but before I do that, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by the Elias Game Plan app. Yes. Did you know that the best day of the week is actually Monday, Thursday, and Sunday because it's NFL season over at the Elias Game Plan app, and that's their favorite time of year. And look, whether you're into fantasy football leagues or maybe betting on your team, or maybe you're just talking highlights around the water cooler at work, the NFL season just got a lot better thanks to the Elias Game Plan app. Yes, the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And in case you're wondering, Elias Game Plan is the only sports app from the most trusted name in sports stats. Yes, the Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians of U.S. pro sports leagues. And look, the Elias Game Plan app is going to give you everything: league validated team and player news and stats, head-to-head team comparisons, which they'll give you ahead of the matchups. So like if you want to look at a couple weeks ahead of time, boom, they'll line you up there. They'll give you key Elias game insight, expert game analysis, which they'll give you advantages in betting. They'll help you pick your fantasy lineup. They do it all. Elevate the NFL season today and download the Elias Game Plan app. That's ELIAS. And right now I have a special offer for when you do subscribe. Get 15% off your annual subscription, if I could talk, but only if you could use the promo code SGPN15. Find the Elias Game Plan app in the App Store or Google Play Store. Once again, use that promo code SGPN15. We're also brought to you by Fubotv. If you watch football, you need Fubotv. Fubotv gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone plus games in 4K at no extra charge. There's over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. You can watch it on all your devices. Never miss a game or never miss an episode of your favorite show because they have included cloud-based DVR. There's no contract. There's no commitment. You can cancel at any time. Right now, you can try Fubotv for free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to Fubotv.com/SGP. That's FUBOTV.com/SGP. And look, we're talking college football. Make sure you subscribe to the College Football Experience because we talk college football year round over there. We talk college basketball year round over here. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Subscribe, tell a friend. All right. So I'm not going to go through every single game on the schedule, but I'm curious if there's a spot where you think, yes. That's
all you had to do.
What is the trickiest spot you think when you see like a 3-game stretch where you go, ooh, I don't know how we're going to make it through there. It might be the final 3 games to tell you the truth. Like when I look at it, but I'm curious what you guys think. I mean, there's a stretch in January where you get at Virginia and at Louisville, but I don't know if Louisville's there yet. UVA is projected to be right there with Carolina. Depending on who you talk to, but I know from publications that I've seen, they say UVA is the second in order in the ACC. So that would be there, Duke being third, but I think some publications will also have Duke at second. I look at the part where February 4th, they're at Duke, followed by at Wake. I think Steve Forbes is going to continue to grow Wake's program. But to me, I think it's the end of the season, the final 3-game stretch. You look at what teams they get twice. Cause remember the ACC, old school ACC in the 90s and stuff, when me and NC Nick were watching these, you get 2 matchups between every team. Now it's not like that. They do get Virginia twice. That's interesting. And obviously they get Duke twice. So in that capacity, I think it might be a little harder of a schedule than say Duke has. What do you guys think for the hardest stretch of the season for Carolina?
What you got, Terrell?
Oh, all right. Yeah. It's that last stretch for me. It's the last. I think there's certain spots like, at UVA is going to be a tough spot. Maybe Louisville is a tougher spot. We'll see. I think we all think Wake Forest is a little bit going to be better this year. And so Wake Forest is probably going to play up during those games, but that last stretch of Virginia coming to town, then you're going on the road to Florida State and then Duke coming back. I think that's a questionable spot right there. Just 3 tough teams, probably 1, 2, 3, 4 in the ACC of some kind of order. So yeah, I think that's got to be the hardest part. And especially going into ACC play, you probably want to pick up some wins there.
Yeah. They get the benefit of having
going into
Chapel Hill.
Going into that 3-game stretch, the 2 games before that are 2 back-to-back road games at NC State, at Notre Dame. UNC is better than both those teams, but still, got a kind of tough road environments there. There's a rivalry game, in there as well, but it's certainly the end stretch. If you want to say 3, or you can say the last 5 games, it's tough. And I think UNC is gonna, drop at least one of them.
Yeah, I think a couple. Yeah. I could say between those 5 games, I definitely think a couple of them can fall. Not the last one, but of the four before that, I think a couple of them.
So you guys going to lose in Cameron then? Okay, that works.
No. All right. Yeah. Remember what happened last time we went in there?
Oh man,
This
look,
time we're not going to have all that hoopla surrounding it where our players got distracted. Okay.
and you're gonna have the Shire situation. Hubert Davis just lived. That's what's so compelling, compelling about this rivalry is now you have Shire basically, and I wonder if we'll have the same struggles early on, just like Hubert Davis had, and then maybe the team will, I think the only difference is Davis's team was much more veteran bunch in his first year.
Right. Yeah. But the comparisons are there. Obviously you have 2 first-year head coaches that have never been a head coach anywhere before, never been an assistant coach anywhere before, other than at their alma mater. So obviously you can draw up the comparisons.
And what you could say real quick for even actually handicapping that last game is that freshman bunch, that young bunch, they already experienced one game of the rivalry. Like they already experienced that. It may have been on their home floor, but now they kind of got those, hey, we played the rivalry game before. Now we just got to go into a hostile environment and play them again and, take a second L for the season.
If you're looking at Duke, by the time March 4th rolls around, the best recruiting class ever will be a lot more mature than, in early February.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. No, that's good. Yeah, they will.
Well, look. Okay. Before we close this out, what is a great year now for Hubert Davis? I know this is a kind of a loaded question because the guy went to the NCAA championship in year 1. So what is a disappointing year and what is a great year for Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels this year? As obviously the pressure's higher, just like we mentioned, comparing it to UCLA a year ago. Is it Final Four is still a great year, or Elite Eight a great year?
No, I think Final Four, national championship game, winning the championship, all that probably constitutes as a great year. A good year, honestly, a Final Four might even be in a good year category, to be honest. And a great is going back to the championship and winning. But a good year is getting through the Sweet 16. I would say that you definitely feel like you decline, or if you don't make the Sweet 16, that's going to be looked at as a bad year in Carolina fans' eyes, and in the organization eyes, they feel like that they can make another run. That's why everybody came back to make another run. You got to make it at least to the Sweet 16 to get out the first weekend.
If you don't make it to the Sweet 16, I mean, that would be a serious. Wow, I don't know what happened, but I think you really have to make the Final Four. I think with everybody coming back, with being one of the favorites, maybe them and Gonzaga, I think it's probably Final Four or bust. I mean, an Elite Eight is still a pretty good run. I guess you're not too upset, but I don't know. I'm not the UNC fan. Terrell is, but I would say this is Final Four or bust.
Yeah, you have to make the Final Four, and that's a good year. I wouldn't even say that's great. That's a good year. Elite Eight, I think if you make it, like if you lose out in Elite Eight, okay, I'm all right. Well, that sucks, but you still had a good year. But it's that Sweet 16. Like you got to make it through the Sweet 16. If you don't get through that, then it's absolutely a bust of a year, and you just wasted their time.
All right, it's gonna be exciting. The pressure, we've talked about this earlier in the episode, but a lot of teams that get this pressure the second go around, you can even go back to the UNLV team with Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon and stuff. The second go around is harder than the first go around.
Who beat them in the NCAA tournament that year?
Now you're coming at my guys. I
don't want to hear Greg Anthony found out on a bogus
that
call.
Was bullshit. Dude, getting those calls, Bobby Hurley. That was a
they're
block.
having this argument again.
Folks, subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. Look, we're on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. Terrell Furman Jr. on Twitter at reallyRel__. Check out the NBA Gambling Podcast. Check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast. Check out the NFL Gambling Podcast. And every Saturday morning, he's with me on the College Football Experience pregame show. So check out all that. Also, get the SGPN app. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast and come talk college hoops with us. Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. We talk college hoops year round in there and college football. Maybe you're upset with Mac Brown. Hop in the college football thing. Tell us what if you're a Carolina fan, tell us how you feel about that lemon you just put out against Notre Dame. regardless, check it all out, folks, and appreciate everyone listening. And I cannot wait. November 7th can't get here fast enough. This is the college basketball experience, North Carolina Tar Heel style. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
What the fuck did I do wrong, Tom? Thank you. Well, that's a great way to get started. When we were winning conference titles and going to the Final Four, we were making a statement.